Lesson 30, we're working with algebraic phrases first of all. Algebraic phrases is kind of like taking math class and turning it into English class. We're supposed to be able to decipher what the English words mean and write them into algebraic phrases or phrases with numbers and variables. And they can be a little tricky at first, but usually with just a little bit of practice we can get better at them. Let's first become familiar with some of the phrases. A number, I'm going to switch colors. We would usually use the letter N to represent a number, just because number starts with N. For sum, we know that sum means we're going to be adding. When we add two addends, we get a sum. Product means we're going to be multiplying. 3 more than and increased by 3. These are both ways of saying the same thing. Both ways of saying plus 3. We might say a number increased by 3. We're going to take n plus 3. 4 less than or decreased by 4. Again, two ways of saying the same thing. We're going to subtract 4. A number, or 4 less than a number, is taking 4 away from a number, or a number decreased by 4 is taking 4 away from a number. Those are ways of saying subtraction. The opposite of a number, if we said before a number is n, then the opposite of a number is negative n. A number, we said before, was n, therefore twice a number is 2n. 5 times of a number would be 5n. So the opposite of 5 times a number, so again start with a number. 5 times a number. The opposite of 5 times a number would be negative 5n. So we're taking all of these phrases written out in English words and changing them into numerical phrases. Let's practice a little. The opposite of a number decreased by 5. What I like to do is write something out and then go back and reread the statement, looking at the algebraic phrase or numerical expression that we've written. So the opposite of a number decreased by 5. The opposite of a number decreased by 5. So now I'm going to take a look at this thing. I'm going to go back and say, does it say what I think it says or what it's supposed to say from left to right? The opposite of a number decreased by 5. Seems to be correct. Let's do another one. The product of twice a number and 8. So the product of twice a number and 8. Product means we're going to multiply something. Product of twice a number and 8. So really it's all multiplication there. 16n would be our answer. The product of 7 and the sum of a number and 10. So the product of 7, and then it's going to be the product of 7 and a sum. So this is going to be an instance where we've got parentheses. The product of 7 and the sum of a number and 10. So the sum is addition, a number and 10. The product of 7 and the sum of a number and 10. So here we've got parentheses. 3 times the sum of the opposite of a number and negative 7. So 3 times the sum, 3 times the sum of the opposite of a number and negative 7. The opposite of a number and negative 7. 3 times the sum of the opposite of a number and negative 7. So they can be a little bit confusing at first, but usually with a little bit of practice we can get pretty good at these. Let's turn off this layer and switch over to the second part of our lesson. The second part of our lesson deals with decimal parts of a number. We already did fractional parts of a number. The only difference between this lesson and lessons we've done before is that we've been saying, hold on 1 second. We've been saying, or been asking, what is 1/2 of, or 1/2 of what number is 42? And so we used our keywords is, and of means multiply. Sorry that I'm streaking a little bit. I'm not exactly sure why. I must not be picking up my pen. Change my ink flow a little bit. See if that helps. And we've been able to set up the equation and solve. Well, the only difference is instead of 1/2, we're dealing with decimals. So now we still use our keywords is and of. So something is 24.32. 0.32 of, so that's multiplication, 0.32 times Wn equals 24.32. So I've got an equation and I can solve. What are we doing? Our goal is to get Wn by itself. We don't have it by itself. What are we doing? Poor little Wn. We're multiplying it by 0.32. How do we undo that? Divide by 0.32. What we do to one side, we do to the other. This reduces to 1. I'm trying really hard to pick up my pen here. I'm not sure what it's doing. Maybe if I slow down, it makes the video longer though, sorry. So n is whatever this is. We know to move our decimal. And so we've got to figure out, now let's try probably 7, huh? 32 times 7, 14, 22. 13 is 9, borrow 1. And let's try 6. That's going to be it, isn't it? So our answer is 76. Again, keywords are still is and of. We are setting up equations and solving. The only difference is instead of fractions, we're using decimals. 0.42 of 86 is what number? Keywords is, something is Wn, and of multiplication 0.42 times 86. This is our favorite kind of equation to solve because the unknown is already isolated. We just have to figure out what 0.42 times 86 is. Wn equals 36 and 12/100. Still use your keywords is and of. Still use inverse operations to solve the equations.